Good evening, Mountaineer Nation, and welcome into the Mountaineer Effect. I'm your host, Marcus Dean, alongside Sam here. We're about to get into some Mountaineer football, but first, before we get into that, make sure you click and like the channel right here. You click that little button right there and subscribe, and every time we go live here on Geek Gorilla TV right here on YouTube, you'll get a notification for that, and we'll definitely appreciate your support. And if you have any comments, please leave below. We like to interact with our fans and all sorts of other stuff. Sam, the Big 12, my man, finally got off their keister and dropped the schedule. Our Mountaineers now have a schedule for the 2021 football campaign. So far, looking over the schedule, man, what do you think?
It's a really strong schedule. Of course, you always have a cupcake, but their out of conference schedule games are tough. You've got Maryland and Virginia Tech. We'll talk a little more in depth about one of those here in a second, but you're also looking at playing Oklahoma in the first third of the season. All in all, I like the structure of the schedule. It's going to be. It's going to provide some ups and downs, but also some stability in between.
Yeah.
I really like the way this schedule came together.
Yeah, I do too. Just looking over the schedule, looks like to me it's not front loaded, it's not back loaded. It looks pretty even. But just looking over the schedule, man, I mean, Maryland to kick off the season, that's a good rival for West Virginia to have back on the schedule. I mean, I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, last year Maryland was pretty decent. But we'll see how the Terps play this year.
Yeah, I think there's a few teams that West Virginia should always try to schedule, and Maryland kind of falls into that category. It's always been a good rival, and I'm glad that it's back on the menu.
Yep, exactly. And then they have the other one, Long Island. After that, never heard of them, but okay.
Don't know nothing about Long Island U. That's kind of their cupcake game. Yeah. And then probably the most interesting game on the schedule in week 3.
Yes. And, I hope, and I pray it's a night game.
Yeah, West Virginia and Virginia Tech have a long history. I think this has the potential to reignite that competitive spirit between the two teams. Mm-hmm. I'm so happy to see Virginia Tech back on the schedule. As you know, I'm a certified Hokie hater. Have been my whole life. So it's one that I like to see them play. But they better freaking win. Is all I can say.
Yeah, so they could go 0-12, but by God, they better beat Virginia Tech. That's all I really care about.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's West Virginia in a nutshell. When you're playing, Maryland, Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh, you better win those games. Those are the ones that are important.
Yeah, exactly.
But those are the first 3 games, and then at the end of September, you've got Oklahoma. How weird is it that we're playing Oklahoma so early in the season?
It's weird because I've never, since they've been in the Big 12, it's always been the latter part of the season. I just went back and looked at their schedules in the past since they joined the Big 12. It's always seemed like it's always in November towards the last game or 2 of the season, where by that time Oklahoma's already clicking and they're firing power. And West Virginia sometimes, I mean, since joining Big 12, I mean, they've been up, they've been down, they've been up, they've been down. They haven't been a consistency throughout the entire process of the Big 12 since they've joined the conference. But I don't know, man. I mean, to me, how like Oklahoma always tends to play kind of down to their competition in the first part of the season. This might be a good year for us to get Oklahoma.
Well, I think this past season was our chance. Bold prediction already. I think Oklahoma is going to play for a national championship next year.
Yeah.
I think that they're primed and they're ready. They got all their guys back. Spencer Rattler really made a lot of progression this year. Showed it toward the end of the season. Honestly, the national championship game, you could make the argument that the Alabama OU would have been a better game just because OU on the back end of the season was so good.
Yep.
If they can continue that, we may be seeing the Big 12 play for a national championship next year in Oklahoma.
we're West Virginia fans, but when it comes time to bowl season, we cheer for our conference, and we want our conference to do good in bowl season. I mean, we were undefeated in bowl season this past year. I mean, it was a good year for the Big 12 as a whole.
Yeah, except for Texas. Texas can lose. That's fine.
Texas is debatable.
But then as we move on through the season, you've got Texas Tech, Baylor, TCU, and Iowa State. Seems like 4 of those games, you're looking at, possibly going 500 through the next 4 games. If the way I look at it, those out of the first 4, you should be 3-1. And then you're going to go 500 through the middle part of the season. What do you think about Texas Tech, Baylor, TCU, and Iowa State?
Well, Iowa State, I'll say this: Iowa State's going to be dangerous again. Iowa State could be looking at a repeat Big 12 championship game. Iowa State and Oklahoma this year, because Brock Purdy did come back, and Iowa State does have all of those top tier tight ends that they had. They're all coming back, so that game really scares me. Baylor, Texas Tech. I didn't think Texas Tech would have anything last year, but they up and beat us. I think we can beat Texas Tech this year. I think Texas Tech, Baylor is very winnable. Iowa State, I would say no. I would definitely give that a cross. TCU, that's a coin flip for me. It's in Fort Worth this year. I would say 2-2 in that stretch. 3-1, it would be doing well.
Yeah, the 3-1 definitely would be the moon. I look at the Texas Tech game and the Iowa State game and be like, Texas Tech is at home, so that gives us a little bit of a little favoritism there. But that's a tough 4-week stretch. You're at home, and then you're at Baylor, and then you're at TCU, and then you come back to play Iowa State. So that's kind of a trap game when you really look at it, when you're 2 weeks on the road, going to Baylor and TCU, and then coming back to play Iowa State. So at that point, if we can go 500 through that stretch, I'd be thrilled.
Yeah. I mean, because that's going to be 2 long road games, and plus, Baylor's still becoming what they're going to be with their new coaching staff. Texas Tech, I mean, I think we can get Texas Tech this year at home in Morgantown. I think we'll do much better with them in Morgantown. Then TCU on the road, I don't know why, but that game kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies a little bit, because we've historically not played well in Fort Worth. I mean, but we can win that. That's a winnable game, but I don't know. My guts tell me 3-1 that stretch.
And then you're going to finish up the season. You got Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Texas, and Kansas.
Well, Texas really doesn't scare me, because they're going to have a brand new quarterback, brand new coaching staff, brand new everything, and of course Kansas is Kansas. Then Kansas State, I think they're going to be up. They're going to be down again. I mean, they're not that impressive. And who was the other?
Oklahoma State. We and it's at home, but I've been to 2 Oklahoma State games at WVU, and we've lost both of them. So they don't. West Virginia. It's funny because West Virginia and Oklahoma State. West Virginia doesn't play good against Oklahoma State. They never have.
No, and I don't know why either, because Oklahoma State isn't the big boogeyman.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they never have historically played well against Oklahoma State. Could this be the year that we get them at home? I don't think so. I think that's going to be another one we lose. And I think this is going to be a year we get Texas. Because of like I said, in Kansas State will take care of business against those 2. So I think that one's a 3-1 right there as well.
And I agree there. I think we can beat Kansas State and Kansas, of course. Texas, I think, your Neil Brown proving game is going to be Texas. Just because it's late in the season, could have big bowl implications. Playing Oklahoma so early, you don't really use that as a measuring stick for your team.
Right.
But that late in the year, Texas, they will have a new quarterback, but Texas is Texas. They'll bounce back. They've got somebody waiting in the wings. They always do. Yeah. We just got to take care of business this year, unlike unlike what we
last
did
year.
last year. I don't even want to talk about it. Don't want to talk about it. But if we look at that, we're 3-1 through the first 4 weeks. We're gonna, let's say we're 2-2 in that second week. That'll put us at 5-3. We're looking at an 8-win season.
Yeah,
I think that would be the moon for West Virginia.
I think that would be another solid season for the Climb, because it looks like every year we're improving. We went from 5 wins, went to 6 wins. Then this year, I think we could jump to that 8 to 9 win platform if we could get a couple breaks and if we can pull an upset along the way. If I had to pick right now, and we'll go in depth later on as the season gets here and it gets a little bit closer on. But if I just to throw it out there, preseason, I could see us going 7-5 at worst and 9-3 at best.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's an 8-win season. I think we go 8-4. Losses to Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Iowa State, and Oklahoma State. I think that I think an 8-4 season. That's a really good campaign. That's 3 years. That would be putting Neil 3 years in and equaling some of Dana's best years.
Mm-hmm.
And his players are just now starting to trickle in. So,
right.
The 2022 year is the year that I'm kind of waiting for, because that's going to be the year where Neil's guys are in. Our schedules are going to get a little tougher because there's some big games in the next 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
I think this is going to be a good measuring stick for Neil as a coach.
Right.
And then next year will be the start of Neil with his players as a coach.
Right. Exactly. And if you look at Neil Brown's track record, every year he's been somewhere. Each year they've gotten better. All in all, that was looking pretty good for the Climb. As I say, trust the Climb. I mean, we got to keep trusting in the coaching staff, and we'll see what happens. That'll do it for this episode of the Mountaineer Effect. We'd like to thank you for being here with us on this broadcast. This is Marcus Dean, Sam, here with the Mountaineer Effect. Let's go, Mountaineers.